It's another day working on this painting here. Let me see if I can move you guys back a little more so that you can see the whole thing. All right, hope maybe that angle will work better. Okay, but anyways, yeah, I put in a few more days of work on him and figured I'd go live for a little bit. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm at a place where I'm about 80% happy with the body and the face. I love the super looseness down here, and then it gets more refined as it goes on. I think I'll leave it largely like that. I still haven't done the eyes, like inside of the eye socket, so need to do that still. But right now, I just want to focus on some of the flowers and some of the background elements because that's still super crazy looking. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know throughout. These sessions always are easier when you guys have questions and I'm not just rambling to myself. But yeah, I'll get started. This is all oil paint on panel. And I've mentioned in some of the past streams, I hadn't gotten to the point where I was adding any medium, but I have today. So I just kind of did a layer over the top of the body and the face where I went in and glazed a lot of those skin tones and just kind of unified all of the tones. So if you go back and look at the last live stream, hopefully you'll be able to see quite a difference. And I plan on recording a video either tomorrow or the day after about the glazing process and how I do that and how I unify everything. Someone said, oh wow, that's super cool. I love your realism. Thank you so much. Someone said, glad catching you. Yay, well thanks for joining. And the medium that I'm using for this stage is, I'll show you it. Let me grab it. Here we go. Gamblin solvent-free fluid. This is my favorite. There's very little odor as opposed to some of the other non-toxic oils can have a strong odor. If you guys are interested in my reference for the flowers and everything, I'm trying to multitask, hold this. Okay, so I love Van Gogh's flowers. And so you guys can see a lot of the shapes, a lot of the shape language I try to mimic with some of this. And so that's what I'm using as my inspiration. I'm not copying it exactly, obviously, but I do have it here just as kind of inspiration and to help me remember not to get too focused on detail and focus on the big picture stuff and texture. So if you're curious at what I'm looking at on my iPad, that's kind of the inspiration for all of the craziness. Trying to make sure you guys can see my palette. If you have any questions about the colors or anything, just let me know. Someone said it looks like a story from the Greek gods, the god of flowers in this case. Ah, well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. The craziness around the figure is so freaking yummy. Love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is a fun one. I want eventually all the flowers around the arms, I want it to look like it's slowly creeping up on him, like hugging him or holding him back, maybe holding him in place. And then as it goes up, they kind of get floaty. Um, we'll see if I can pull it off. Rain said, so gorgeous. Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, Someone said it has a certain lily rose quality in the flowers, I think. The realism combined with the more abstract flowers. Thank you. It's definitely a fun one. Someone said, okay, it feels like the flowers are emanating out of him, like it's pouring from him. Oh, I like that interpretation too. Thank you. Yeah, all these flowers still need a ton of work. The background needs a ton of work. It's a little intimidating working at this scale and keeping myself motivated to get it all done. Someone said, is that black in the background? Yeah, it's for the most part chromatic black, but I have mixed in ultramarine blue and a little alizarin crimson, just in some of those areas. The black all needs a refresher. And then once it's varnished, it'll really come to life. Someone said you mentioned scale. What sizes do you usually work on? This one is, I'm pretty sure this one's 3 feet by 4 feet. I do quite a few at this scale, but probably the majority of my work is like 18 by 24, I'd say. I do prefer working bigger if I can. It's just finding space and they get so costly to work on at this size. Someone said, how many layers do you usually build before finishing the painting? Oh, that's a good question. Some layers, like down here, I don't know, you might not be able to see because the comments are kind of hiding it now. But down here, this is all just one layer. But up here where it's really refined, I've lost count of how many layers. So yeah, lots of areas are just one layer, and others have more than I can count. Someone said, hello, do you use linseed oil or turpentine for diluting the colors, or you don't use it at all? I don't use either of those, but I am, for this particular pass at it, I am using some Gamblin solvent-free fluid. This is the first time I've been working on this for, I don't know, maybe a month now. And this is the first time I've used any sort of medium added or additive to the colors. Most of the time I just prefer to paint straight out of the tube. Oh, I want to get in that red. Somebody said, I already learned so much from seeing you paint. Hey, well, thank you. It's always the goal. I didn't start painting until relatively later in life. I was close to 30. I think it was right before I turned 30. So I love getting to help other people anytime I can, and reminding people it's never too late. Scott said, so in some areas that are not the main focus, you do wet on wet, but in the main focus areas, how long does it take to let the layers dry? Oh, that's a great question. So sometimes I let it sit for a few days is all it needs. But what typically happens is I put it away to let, like, I'll let the face dry before I go into the next layer. And I get distracted, start working on other pieces in the meantime. So sometimes it ends up sitting for like a week or two. Someone said, I started at 40, almost 50 now, and still learning a lot. Yay, that's awesome. Someone said, wow, looks good. And the painting too. Thank you. Scott, yes, never too late. I will be drawing and studying for a couple more years. Yeah, for sure. The other thing is with like how long do I let it dry in certain areas? Like for example, if I'm gonna let the face dry for a few days now, right before I go into anywhere else, but that just means I can start working on the flowers, the background, any other places. I'll just avoid working in those wet areas, if that makes sense. Scott said, and then I will begin painting in a couple years. I am 68. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Are you taking any sort of online classes right now? I'm always interested in hearing where people, what spaces on the internet they find helpful. Scott said, you are my inspiration. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think we need to add more flowers all up in this area. I'm just kind of marking out where I want to go in right now. I know it looks crazy like that, but this is more just me kind of making mental notes on the canvas. Someone said, I teach window painting and cartooning. Oh, that's awesome. I painted 70,000 panes of glass, now retired, and I can learn a lot. I can learn anatomy, form, lighting, and more. That's really awesome. I've seen videos of people window painting um, online, and it always blows my mind how steady their hands are. Oh, someone said I bought the book, The Natural Way to Draw, that you recommended. I love that book. I also in art school, but dropped out after 2 years. Not my cup of tea. Now I learn on my own and from great teachers like you, etc. Oh, that's awesome. Have you started the book? Have you started going through The Natural Way to Draw? I find it super helpful. Someone said, I love the juxtaposition of realism and expressionism you employ. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's fun when it works out. Um, Kathleen said, yes, yesterday, feel what you draw, a challenge, but interesting. Yeah, it's so crazy. I feel like that book rewired my brain and really changed the way that I approach painting and drawing and seeing, really. All right, we need some more white paint. Set that there. Titanium white has been the workhorse in this painting, although I have used zinc white in some areas. But titanium white's the main one that I use. It's a really reflective white. Someone said, love the fact that you are wearing a somewhat white hoodie while painting. I always want to wear comfortable clothes, but ends up staining them with paint. That's so funny. I'm always wearing comfortable clothes while painting. It's a Hogwarts hoodie right now. But yeah, a lot of my clothes are covered in paint. I've learned to just get used to it. Someone said, hi, I'm allergic to terps. What do you think about water-based oils? Are they as good? I love water-based oils. I use the Aqua Duo, it's Holbein brand, Aqua Duo water-based oils, and they're really cool because you can use them as oil paints with oil-based solvents, or you can use them with water, and you can mix them with regular oils. So I have like, especially they're neon and they're really colorful colors. I'll mix them right into these, and the texture is really fun to work with. they do have quite a different texture than regular oil paints, but I love them. I think they're fun to work with. Someone said, when do you know it's finished, or you feel it, or have a vision in your head? Um, that's a good question. I don't know that I've ever really finished a painting and was like, ah, that's it. I just put the last stroke on. Um, it's more so I know it's done when I'm excited to look at it. And two, actually, if I'm excited to look at it, at all parts of it, then that's usually when I stop. But also, the other thing that goes along with that is I'm excited to look at it and I'm too afraid of messing anything else up. Probably those two things. Someone said, will you have the lady in the blue gray dress part two coming soon? Um, oh, that is a good question. Probably once I finish with this one, I'll put that one back um, on the canvas. But I do, thank you for the reminder. I need to get working on that one. Someone said this piece is really interesting. The focal point of the head against the red brings brings one in, but then there are so many things to explore in the rest of the painting. Thank you, I appreciate that. Someone said, do you varnish your works? Most of the time I do, but not always. It just depends. Like for this one, I have a lot of dark tones, a lot of dark colors, and so varnishing would really bring this one to life once I'm done. A lot of times with some of my mixed media work, I'm using a lot of different materials that have very different finishes on them, and putting a varnish over those unifies the finish of a painting, and I don't always love that for my mixed media work. I want my matte paints to look matte, I want my shiny paints to look shiny, I want my pastels to be thick and satiny, and yeah, so I don't always varnish those ones. But I also go into those ones with that in mind, being careful about what colors I'm choosing, and making sure that I'm using the right materials and applying them in the correct way. Someone said, hopped in to say that it looks majestic so far. Thank you. I'm a digital hobby artist, but it's so interesting to learn from traditional artists and see the process. Hey, well, welcome. Someone said, hello, I just started watching. Is that acrylic or oils you're working with? This is all oils for this one. Generally, I do mixed media, so I'll mix acrylics and oils, but this one's just all oils. Did you paint black mixture under the background flowers or just around them? Just around them. What's your take on contemporary / modern art? I always fail to understand them. I think people who are really good at contemporary and modern art have such a deep understanding of composition and visual interest, and it always leaves me in awe. It's much harder than it seems to make interesting, like I'm guessing you're talking more about like abstract modern art. It's deceptively hard. Yeah, at least that's my take on it. All right, guys, I am probably going to be heading out in a second, go grab some lunch. It is 12:30 here in Atlanta, but if you have any other questions, let me know before I hop off. Oh, one of the other things, I'll just tell you what I'm doing. So I have these paints mixed up that I've been using for the flowers, you know? But as I'm going through, I'm also bringing a lot of those tones into the skin tone, just adding some variation. Kind of unifies things. It allows me to be messy and kind of crazy with my brush strokes, but still unifying the whole thing. Can we get a close-up of your work? Yeah, I have lots of close-ups. Like if you want to see any of my past work, I have some close-ups on Instagram, but I'll bring you close up to this one before I log off. You're in my phone stand right now, so it's a little hard. Thank you for sharing. When do you usually go live? Oh, during the week, typically during standard work hours. I try and go live at least once a week. Someone said, and I love your work the most for the eerie and sensitive character they have. Just so beautiful. Thank you. It's the face AI. No, it's my husband. I made him model for this one. Hello. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so let me bring you guys close real quick. And I'll also, let me pull up. I've shown the reference for this one before, but I'll show it again if you guys are interested. Just so you guys can see. I just made him pose here in the studio. Okay. Here you go. The quality is really bad, and there's a bad glare, or the video quality is not very good. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Bye.